Hey, it's Danny Brown. You're listening to the Deal Podcast, where every week I talk to the best real estate agents in the world and hear all their crazy stories and seven-figure commissions and all the chaos that happens. Please leave us a nice comment if you can, even an authentic few words about whether you like this podcast. And if you like real estate as much as we do, please follow us on Apple Podcasts or YouTube. So we're showing the video, full video live feed and recorded feed on YouTube. And you can always check us out on Apple Podcasts or anywhere you get your podcasts from. So appreciate following us and leaving us a comment. Had to get that in, and have a good week. Hey, Carrie, good to see you from Chicago. Welcome to the Deal. What's going on out there?
Oh, Chicago is a bustling city. It's all good. Spring is here. Our market's good.
Spring is here. Does that mean it's not negative 20 with wind chill right now?
That's right. I think we're high as 70 today. So
Get out of here.
here,
It's hotter than LA.
I
I think
know.
we're about 68 today. Well, look, for those that don't know Carrie, one of the top producers in Chicago in the city core for 20 years, I think it's been, maybe longer. Who's counting though? But some of the biggest and baddest sales, and you've built an incredible business. But why don't you talk us through how it all started, where you
Well,
grew up first, and how you worked your way from growing up, school, to this crazy real estate game we're in.
yeah, I don't think you want to hear my crazy childhood stories, even though I've got a lot of good ones. But it's interesting when I think back to like my childhood, I was always a very rebel spirited child. I was a tomboy. I rode
Yeah.
bikes. I mean, I was definitely not um, the girl I am today, if you will. But just by nature, I was always rebel spirited. I never wanted to follow the rules. I thought outside the box, and so I was probably a challenging as a young girl to parent. But anyways, it led me into where I am today
Sure.
because the way I got into real estate, again, it is a funny story because I was in the corporate world. I worked at eTrade and was
eTrade.
yes, you guys remember that, right? It's
Of
still around.
course.
And, this is during the dot-com boom of, I mean, everyone wanted to be part of that. And I was, top of my game with the company. So, I worked at E-Trade. I was in corporate America. And
Yeah.
going back to that whole rebel spirited, I just never, I performed well. I was one of the top people at the company and, but just never liked being told what to do. Right. So,
No one likes that.
yeah, so as an entrepreneur at heart and in spirit, I one day I can't remember what actually happened at the office, but I was upset over something or frustrated over something that happened, and I decided to go out for a walk. So in Chicago, my office was at the Prudential Tower, which was by Millennium Park. And I walked all the way into the West Loop. So any of those people know, like kind of the geography of Chicago. It was a healthy walk.
Good walk.
But I was upset, angry, and I'm hustling on my walk, and I come across a construction site.
All right. So you're pissed off at eTrade in the corporate world. You're taking a long walk through the city.
Taking a long walk, I see a construction site, and again, this is in the West Loop. It's at the time, 20 something years ago, it was not a place you probably really wanted to walk.
Okay.
So I see this digger going on, and I walk up to the construction crew. I'm like, "What is going on? What are you guys doing?" And they're like, "Get off the site." Of course, no hard hat. I'm probably
Right.
dressed simply. Get off the site. Of course, I don't get off the site, but I'm in. I want to know what's happening. Like, and so this gentleman by the name of Tom comes out, and Tom, of course, is trying to politely escort me off the site. And he said, "We're building a new residential building here." And I said, "Well, who's going to live here? No one's going to live in this neighborhood. This is a terrible neighborhood, da, 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 da." And he's like, "Well, why not?" So, again, at the time, I was probably his demographic of who was going to buy in the building.
Right.
And he was very interested to hear my opinion and why I was so strong on, this is a terrible place to build a building.
Well, you're the demo. He sees this. This is the buyer, the type of buyer that would move here, and you're giving him the feedback of why you wouldn't buy there.
Right. And he says, "Are you in real estate?" And I said, "Why, yes, I am. I'm in real estate." And he says, I want to talk to you. Meet me at my office next Tuesday at 2 o'clock, and we're going to discuss this. And I said, awesome. So now I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I just totally lied to this guy. I race back to my office and
Oh
I
my
type in,
God.
how do I get my real estate license? At the time, again, this is 20 something years ago, it was like a week course, 5 to 7 at night or whatever it was. I sign up for the class and I know that it's starting the following week. So I go Tuesday at 2 o'clock to meet Tom. And I thought, I'm not going to start off this relationship with a lie. I went in there and I said, Tom, with all due respect, I don't have my license, but I am signed up for the class. So I'm sorry for the misunderstanding, but I'm signed up to be a real estate agent. And he's like, I don't care. That's fine. Let's talk. So I'm like, oh my God, thank God. I got that off my chest that, he's totally fine with that. So we go through this series of conversation and he really loved what I had to say and just my thought process about the building. And he said, I want to hire you.
Come
And
on, you're not even in real estate.
totally not in real estate, it's new construction building. And I'm like, okay. So really it was an opportunity. Again, I was young at the time and I thought I'm leaving a corporate job with a, paycheck with benefits, with,
Yeah, very
allowances,
different.
and I'm like, but I knew the corporate world was not me. I'm like, I believe in myself. I'm like, sure. So I ended up obviously working for him. We sold out that development in months. So I was wrong that no one wanted to live there.
You were
Uh,
wrong. Good.
I was wrong, but I learned, right? And they
That's good.
promoted me and I kept on this circuit of, I was kind of the golden child of development. I got promoted and then I got recruited by another big developer and,
Wow.
it just launched my career. So, I've been in real estate for 25 years. My first, I call it decade, it was in development. I worked with some of
All
Chicago
new dev.
biggest and best developers. I traveled, I learned so much. It really laid the foundation for me to be a broker that I am today.
Unreal. So it's almost by accident, almost by accident, you said, "I'm in real estate. What's up? What's
Yeah,
going on?" And now you're selling buildings, and now you're building your business, and you're in the new dev game. That's
yeah,
that's an unusual, unique setup for getting into real estate, but
absolutely.
a really good story. So, did you grow up in Chicago area?
I did. So this
Okay,
is my home.
that
I've
is
been
home.
here my entire life. I tried to leave occasionally, when the winters come, but no, I love Chicago. It's where I'm born and bred, and it's a world-class city. Love it here.
All right, so that just gets me the backward. You had the landscape nailed down. You were familiar with Chicago and the nuances of the city, so that it wasn't a fish out of water in a new city, but you jumped into the big time as in someone who's never been in real estate, which is
Right.
wild. So now here you are, years later. You're one of the top agents in the area. What is your business looking like today? I mean, there's still a lot of new dev, I imagine, and resale. What is your team structure and what is your business looking like in 2025?
Yeah, so I took quite a bit of time to study the way I wanted to run my team, right? And here in Chicago and just like around, the United States, there's everyone's set up very differently. I had an epiphany a few years ago when I went to go visit a doctor, and I researched doctors and who I wanted to perform. It was my eye. I had an eye issue, my eye surgery, and the doctor said, my associate's going to perform the surgery. And I'm like, absolutely not. Like I hired you or I'm coming to you because of your
Yeah,
expertise. And it was really kind of at that moment that I
interesting.
realized when somebody hires me, they want me, right? They hire Carrie, they want Carrie. So I came up with a slogan called 100% Carrie.
Ah,
And what that means is when you hire me, you get me. You get my
sure.
expertise, you get my attention, you get my marketing, you get everything of my knowledge in my head, and this is what you
Yeah.
get.
Which
And so
which is
what
very, very different because once you start scaling your business, we can only be in so many places and usually the model becomes you delegate to a team and
right,
you get less carry, not 100%. You get
right,
90, 80, 60.
92%.
Yeah.
So, so what I ended up doing was hiring an incredible support staff that supports me in the field. So I have 5, I don't want to call them assistants because I don't like that word.
Yeah.
Because they really, I think of us kind of as a football team where, I'm the quarterback of the team and,
I
I
like
get the
that.
ball and, I know where to put it in the field and I know who to pass it to. And each person, like I mentioned, there's 5 of them. They know once the ball comes to them what their role is with it. And we get everything across the finish line. So,
Is it safe to say that there's like a buyer coordinator or a seller coordinator, a marketing person? What are the roles of these
yeah,
people, of these
Yeah, so
team
I think
members?
of a transaction as like the front end of a transaction and the back end of the transaction,
Yeah.
right? So I do have Emily who handles the front end of the transaction, which is gathering the information on the home or the property and getting it set to launch into our MLS, which is our multiple listing service. I do have Simona, who's on what I call the back end of the transaction. Once we get something under contract, she's
Yeah.
handling it from that to close. I do have a marketing person. I do have what I call like a stager, someone that will,
Design, staging.
attend the photo shoots and video shoots with me, either helping create scripts or how the property is going to be displayed from brochures to, all of that stuff. And then I do have someone that does assist me with showings as well. So we again all have our roles, and I'm just very content and happy with the structure that I have.
Awesome. So it's tight, lean machine.
Super tight and super lean.
So you don't have 30 other agents
Yeah.
working under you. You're handling it 100% you,
Yes.
and you have your structure, your team members around you to help support you do your thing. And
Yes.
talk to me about a typical sale. Like what are you guys working on in the city? What's on the market now for you?
Yeah. So I've got quite a bit of, I carry about between 30 and 50 listings at a
That's a
time.
lot of listings, Carrie.
Yeah. Yeah. We move quite a bit of real estate here. I've got everything from a $600,000 condo that goes into multiple offers to a $10 million listing, so I
Yeah.
kind of run the gamut.
Wide,
Yeah,
broad
I've got
business.
a very big net, but I'm pretty selective of the clients that I work with, um, which helps kind of dictate. I really want to pick and choose kind of the best in our market here. Each neighborhood performs very differently. I
Sure.
call Chicago like a market within a market, which
Yeah.
means, like we've got our downtown market high rise condos, and then we've got single families, and we have our North Shore. So they all operate very independently. But being in this market for as long as I have been and growing up here, I know it like the back of my hand.
I'm sure you do. And so what are some of your favorite sales or big sales that you can mention?
Yeah, so I just closed on I think we ended up closing it for like 10.2 million.
Nice.
And I know it's different. Like every market, possibly in your market, $10 million is,
That's big. It's all big. It's all good numbers.
right. But so in Chicago, I would say one of our highest price condos, which actually was actually 2 condos. It was 19 million for 2 condos. It was
Woo.
a combo unit. But I would say on our high end, 10 is a big number here in Chicago. I think
And
an
is that a
average,
penthouse or a
yeah.
brownstone or
Yeah, so it would be either a penthouse or a large single family home in the city.
in the
Once we
city?
go into our suburban markets, it's very different.
Yeah.
But just in Chicago, we'll call it proper. 10 million is a big number for us here.
Well, it's a
So
big number.
yeah, so
So
we just
a double unit for 20,000,000, that's a huge commission.
it's a huge commission.
It's a
Yeah.
massive commission.
Yeah.
Are you working in the suburbs surrounding, or do you stick to the core of the
I
city, or
stick to
both?
the core majority. So I would say 95% of my business is the core of the city, but
Yeah,
there's a lot of people that move out to the suburban market.
sure.
So, I help them with their move. I do have 2 listings currently in the suburban market. And again, it's very selective on the clients that I want to work with. Um, but yes, I mean, I know them as well. But I like to keep my pulse in the city.
Got it. And tell me what is going on right now if someone's coming to Chicago to buy real estate, and like, well, they don't know the market. What is happening? What's the market like now? I know the last 2 or 3 weeks for us with the tariff wars and the stock market volatility have been a little wobbly. Our market post we had these fires and it took off. We had this frenzy for a couple of months and now it's wobbly. I'm curious in other markets, so it's so different. It's every market to market is dramatically different. So what's been going on this year in Chicago?
That's a good question. And I just to say, I really love connecting with other brokers in other markets because it's interesting, right, of what's happening,
The
in
nuances. Yeah.
California or Florida or New York or London, even and it affects us
Yeah.
here. So to answer your question, we're seeing a nice big influx of people from out of state coming to Chicago,
Oh,
which during COVID everyone left, right,
right.
and now
Left
we're
the
seeing
city.
people come back. Unfortunate fires in California. We've seen an influx of buyers coming in here. Um, Insurance issues in Florida. We're seeing buyers come here as well. So we're kind
Wow.
of like this safe, easy city to live in. Insurance is easy here. Our weather is kind of mild, right? We don't have the um, hurricanes or fires or anything, so
Yeah.
we really have a mild weather pattern here. But we are seeing a lot of transactions, but just like you said, the volatility of the market in the last 3 weeks because of tariffs and the stock market has left a few people thinking, I don't know if I'm ready to make a big purchase. But I have some clients that, they're traders and they're making money off of the volatility of the
Of course.
market, right?
Yes.
So I'm seeing some big tickets. Like we just put two $5 million homes under contracts with traders that they did well in the last 2 weeks. So they're like, you know
I
what,
mean,
I'm going
that's a
to
good
deploy
point.
this cash and buy something in the market. So
That is a
um,
very good point. As could be talking about, oh, the market's so scary and bad, but there's always somebody taking advantage of that at
100%,
a higher level of trade. And it's this volatility and these swings, they're just killing it.
right,
And they're
right,
saying, let me put this profit into a piece of stable real estate, take money off the table. So we're
right,
all going, oh no, everyone's scared when these guys are buying or these gals are
right.
buying
So you got to
major
look at the
properties.
market of what good, bad, and ugly. I mean, it's life, and there's ups and downs in this market. But that's one thing I've done very successfully is pivoting, right? A good market, bad market. Not that I love that there's a bad market ever, from the
Yeah.
stock market, but again, these are opportunities to capitalize on things that other people are not paying attention to.
Unbelievable. So what the biggest sale you're saying that you've seen recently is 19,000,000. And
Yes.
and if you go to the suburbs,
Hmm.
and you find in a big estate with land, what are
Hmm.
the biggest prices out there?
So there's one under contract at 35 million.
Oh, huge.
And these are, I mean, again, these are big numbers for
Yeah,
Chicago. I've got
big
a,
numbers for anywhere.
yeah. So, and I think people are seeing a resurgence back here in the city and in Illinois.
Yeah, and you're saying you're seeing a lot of people, or not a lot, but some people coming back from California, New York, other big metropolitan areas, and heading back to Chicago.
Yes, I am
So
definitely.
there's
And
people
Chicago,
coming
like
from.
I said, is a world-class city. We've got so much to offer here. And during COVID, we saw a mass exodus out of the city, crime, rioting, COVID, obviously. Um, but they miss the culture of our city and the
Yeah.
vibrancy here.
So let me turn this a little bit to you and your business. To carry so much inventory, to be in contact with 30, 40, 50 sellers, let alone potential upcoming sellers, buyers, vendors, and everyone else in your lives, personally, professionally. How do you keep it all together? How do you stay organized? How do you stay above water, so to speak,
Yeah.
with that many moving parts? A lot of plates spinning.
There's a lot of plates spinning. Yeah, no, it is challenging. I am a hyper organized person. Anyone that knows me, also I say I work 24/7, and it's really um, the truth. I have two children, but they are young adults, now, so there's no need for um, school drop off and all of that fun stuff. So I'm at a good position in my life. I absolutely am obsessed with what I do. I'm obsessed with perfection. And I I operate at a very high level. It's just who I am. So I love it. I thrive on it, and maybe one day there's a day I'll slow down, but until then, I'm going to keep cranking out my numbers.
So I got to dig a little deeper. So tell me, what is your daily routine? Do you get up at 3 in the morning and start this craziness?
No,
What do you have a morning routine that you stick to
not.
get things going?
Nope, I do not.
No.
I follow, again, going back, you'll hear this repeated, the rebel spirit in me. I do not follow. Um, I've seen all the coaching and what you should do and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I beat to my own drum. I am a sleeper, so I need 8 hours of sleep.
So you
You
do sleep.
I do sleep. So I need a pure 7 to 8 hours of sleep, but I'm extremely efficient with my time. I
Yeah.
don't believe in having meetings that are nonsense. I schedule things like every 15 minutes. I'm very decisive in things that I do, and I can get in and out of a conversation very quickly, make decisions, and move on. And I don't look back.
Got it. Well, that's a really good nugget right there. To be efficient with your time, scheduling and blocking
Yes,
small blocks of time and getting right to the point and not spending a lot of time talking in circles.
right.
That said, in the world of luxury real estate, in the world of high profile and high net worth clients, they do like to bend our ears. They do like to vent. They do like to pontificate on why
Right.
their overpriced listing really should be overpriced because it's special. So, and how do you stay efficient with that? You just do the best you can, or are you've built off ramps to deal with every situation?
Everyone's different, right? And I think
Yeah,
understanding your client and I don't say their needs, but just kind of how they operate, because again, I've got some of my clients who do want to sit down and have a conversation. And I know that when I'm going to do that, I'm going to schedule an hour with them,
yeah,
because they really want that one on one. And I do come prepared for that. And again, to me, that's efficient because if that client wants that one on one time, I'm going to give them that one on one time. And I do have a lot of clients that they own and they're running several of their own companies. They'll come to me and I had this one client and I'll never forget, and I can't say verbatim what he said because I don't remember, but I just remember how I felt when I left. He's in the financial world and he said he makes decisions based on facts. He's like, give me the facts, tell me this and this, and that's all I need. So I went in, I said, I didn't sugarcoat anything. I came in with the facts. I was straight. I said, this is what it's going to be and this is what we need to do. He's like, great, let's execute, see you later. Done. I mean, within 5 minutes. I
yeah,
was just like, wow. But he had to move on, he had
yeah.
other things to do, and that's how our relationship operated. He said, just be direct, tell me the truth, and get it done, period. And I'm like, love it. And
Yeah,
that's
that's
what
my favorite client that doesn't wanna waste time, wants to get right down to it. Give me the news, good, bad, or ugly. Let's make the best decision. Let's weigh the options, move on, not over and over. Sure. Love it. Words of wisdom, so many nuggets. Uh, talk to me. You said Cubs, so I assume it's your Cubs, not a White Sox fan. Are you am I
depends
gonna
on
get
who's listening.
Am I gonna get in trouble for putting you on the spot? Are are you a Caleb Williams fan? What are we thinking about Caleb Williams in Chicago?
I like all sports, honestly. I'm not a fan of one particular team. I love all of our Chicago teams. How's
Okay,
that?
fair enough. So
I've got
talk to me
experience on all teams, so I'm just gonna do a blanket. I like all of Chicago teams.
all to Chicago teams. Well, Caleb Williams is an SC alumni, so I'm rooting for him to have a big
Good.
season for the Bears, but hopefully it goes well. I know in Chicago, if you don't win immediately, you get the boot. So he's
Yeah,
gotta step up. He's
gotta
gotta step.
step up.
So what does Carrie do for downtime? Do you believe in taking downtime to recharge with all
Yeah.
this stuff going on in your business?
Yeah, so I think it is important, in any business that you're in, that you're running a business. Travel's always such a great way for, at least for me. But I will say, when I travel, I try to make the most out of it, because I do like to visit real estate around the world, um, and learn, right? Because everyone does things a little bit differently. So I think I'm going to New York soon. Where else? I'm going to Monaco.
Ooh, fun.
So it'll be fun to see, so I do like to take my own time, but I'll go visit an office or a few brokers to network,
Yeah.
and just learn from other people as well.
Yeah, so you're a student of the game. I do that too. I love it. I love to go and see the real estate, see what's happening, hear what they're doing. It's just fascinating to be, there's always so much to learn. There's always a little wrinkle. There's always something different. And uh, so what's next for you? Where's a big trip? Do you have a big trip coming up?
Well, it's Monaco.
Monaco's the next one?
Yeah. Well,
Ooh,
actually, New York is next week, and then I'm going to Monaco. But I'm a big car fan. You'll see in my videos that I, like to dabble in some different
I see
different
the nice
cars.
cars on your videos. Those look
Yeah,
nice.
so, Monaco, I'm going with, I think we've got like 40 people going.
Oh, it's a huge group. Are you going for the race for
No, I'm not
the
going for
Grand
the
Prix?
race, but we've all rented some really fancy cars, and we're gonna drive
That's
through different
awesome.
cities and Saint Tropez, and we're just gonna take a week
That's
and
amazing. I was there this summer. There's so much right there. You can see so much
yeah,
across France and Italy, and
yep.
every couple hours you're in a new incredible little beach area. That is so fun. Well, what would you say for someone if you were starting in real estate, or even if you weren't starting and you're just trying to figure out what can I do to build my business? What can I do to get things going? What would be your advice, your sage wisdom after you've seen and done it all?
Yeah, it's not gonna be anything earth-shattering. I know some people ask me that question. They're waiting for, like,
The
the
magic bullet?
sauce, or, this is what you do. But, you know, uh, it took me years, and this is very simple, but it really took me years to kind of figure this out and figure out, like, who I am and what I believe in. But I would say a few things. Is one is to be authentic to who you are. Very vague answer to what you're asking, but if you really kind of like soul search, and like how you want to build your business, what kind of brand you want to have out there, so just, think about who you are and what you experiences you want people to feel. Super simple one is, honestly, be kind to everybody. I walk around my
Yeah.
office, I walk around the city with a smile on my face. I say hi to everybody. I am a very positive person. And I think people feel that, and that's not fake. I'm a very authentically happy person. So, I think just being
That's great.
kind, being helpful. I'm not above anyone. I check my ego at the door. I think that that's important, and just building connections with people. This is a business of
That's great.
connections. It's a business of being social. So, and then study your market. I think that that's important too. If anyone asks me on a daily basis about a property, I spend time studying my market and being an advocate of the city here.
I love that. It's refreshing to hear because there are so many big egos, clients, agents, etc. So it's so nice to hear that that you're positive and checking the ego at the door. And I feel the same. When I see that in other brokers that are doing well and succeed, I'm like, "Ugh, I just respect that so much because it unfortunately it is more the rarity, and
Yeah.
it's so refreshing and so inspiring when you see people with such massive success, but humble and positive and, looking to treat people well. And something I live by too. All right. Some fun Chicago questions. Are you a foodie at all? I mean, feel like everyone in Chicago, yeah, how can you not be? So like favorite steakhouse, I'm going to get a steak in Chicago and I say, hey, Carrie, where should I go? Where would you send me?
Oh my gosh, there's
Give me a few.
there's so many.
I know.
Oh my gosh,
If I'm on the Gold Coast, right?
it's a new restaurant, and I'm like, now it's totally escaping. Like, I feel like I'm on. Oh my gosh, it'll come to me.
How about the old classics? What are some of the old you
So
can't?
there's always like Ruth Chris, and we've got Gibson's. Um, we have a new, it's not steak. Well, they do some steak there. It's called Tradita. It's in the
Okay.
St. Regis building, or condos. it is the most beautiful atmosphere because you've got the city surrounding you. So Tradita is amazing. We have Avli on the Park, which is a Greek restaurant. There's thousands. It's like
I
now
know. It's such a
RPM
good town.
steak, RPM
Our,
seafood. Oh my gosh. It's just, if anyone needs any restaurant recommendations, even though I'm like fumbling through what I love, there's just so many. There's so
Italian too, right? I mean, there's just so many good
everything,
restaurants.
everything.
And the deep
Food
dish, like,
is
it's just there's so much stuff there. Like, every block, you're like, "Oh, you gotta come ready. You gotta come focused." Anything else you wanna share with us? Any insights, any funny stories? Like, what's some
yeah,
crazy stuff you've experienced at showings or in your business? I know there's some wild stuff that must happen.
literally just have, well, there's always wild stuff. All realtors have stories, right?
Yeah, for sure.
We're in people's homes. We see the good, the bad, the ugly. There's, it's wild of what we see. But this one actually literally just happened. I
Okay,
have a client that has a parrot. Okay.
okay. Polly has a parrot.
Yeah. And not a big bird person myself, but I respect them. And, they're in their cage and they're doing their thing. Or I don't know what kind of bird it is, but we started the showing and the bird started swearing
Ah,
people. And the bird was very dirty. And I
that's
mean, I
great.
don't even know how to like interact with a bird. Like, what do
Okay,
you
yeah, that's normal.
even know?
Cussing bird.
And the bird apparently repeats things that people say. And so I'm giving my presentation and I'm talking about pricing in the neighborhood. And the bird says, like, they won't sell for under 4 million.
The
And I'm
bird says
God, like, I'm like this, and I don't even know what to do. So, and I'm sure that like the bird, like the people that own the sellers probably were talking amongst themselves,
yeah,
like,
we
oh my
won't
God,
sell under
I'm not selling this and I'm not doing this. So the bird knows all
no.
this. And he's like repeating. And I'm just like, I mean, we all started laughing.
I mean,
And
can you imagine how much trouble you get with a bird that repeats everything?
what I'm thinking, like, oh my gosh, I have to
Not say anything.
like what is going on? It was, I honestly wish I could have recorded it, but it was like so obviously
That
unplanned, un
that's a first. I haven't heard that. And
I
now I gotta watch out for the talking birds.
watch out for the talking birds.
Love it, love it. Well,
Never happened to me
thank
before.
you. Thank you for sharing time with us. Anything else you wanna add, any before we cut off here? Any words of wisdom for agents or anything else you feel you wanna add about Chicago? Here's your here's your platform.
Well, you'll find that I love to network. So anyone listening, um, please reach out to me if there's anything you need here in Chicago. And I'd love to do the same. I love to connect with other
Yeah,
agents. I'm also
awesome,
a
great.
very big giver on, marketing tips or anything. I'm always, if there's anything I can help somebody else out with, I'm happy to do that.
Love it. Well, thank you for sharing time with us. Great to see you. And I hope to get to Chicago soon. I want to eat at some of these cool restaurants. And watch out for the talking parrots. Could get us in a lot of trouble.
That's right.
All right, great. Thank you, Carrie. That was awesome. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. If you like what you heard and you love real estate as much as we do, please go to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review and a comment. That would help our ratings so much. If you want to hear more episodes, you can go to The Deal with Danny Brown on YouTube or Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Amazon, or anywhere else you consume your podcasts.